Coming up, Trailblazers, a series that takes you into the heads and homes of trendsetters to get you a slice of their lives. Hello and welcome to Trailblazers. My guest today is Alyque Padmasee, a man who has straddled the worlds of theatre and advertising with aplomb. He is also known as God. To many, he is the god of theatre and the god of advertising. I am here today at his home in Mumbai to get a feel of where all his great ideas are nurtured, and to speak with Alyque Padmasee about his wonderful double life. So Alyque, where do you normally get your best ideas at home?
You know, it's very funny, but my best ideas come when I'm having a shower. And you know, when the warm water runs over your body, you feel like you're back in the womb. I asked a psychologist this, and he said, yes, that's true. It's like being back in the womb, warm water. And suddenly you're totally serene. People talk about meditation and so on. I don't do meditation. But I do things like a slump. For instance, when I sit in my chair, I say, why is the world moving so fast? Yeah? And so what I do is, I have a slump. I just slump in my chair and I just cut out everything. My best ideas is what I get in the shower. When the warm water is running all over me and suddenly ideas sprout. I don't know where they come from. And a psychologist told me it's because you're returning to the womb. The womb is the one place where you're totally yourself and totally serene, you know, in that warm water of the womb. But what my biggest problem is about this is that how do I record the ideas? Because as soon as I pick up my pad, you know, the ink all runs and the paper gets mushy.
Something like what Archimedes did.
Yes.
Maybe you should do that.
That's right. Yes, yes, yes. So what I do now is I've got a tape recorder which is sound activated.
Oh.
So when I'm in my shower and I think of a great idea, I say, tape recorder on, and it comes on. And then I dictate it, and after that I send it to my secretary and she types it out.
How much time do you manage to spend at home, Alyque, now?
Well, now I spend a lot of time, thank God, at home. But earlier, when I was the head of Lintas, the biggest advertising agency at that time, together with another agency, we were all the big boys. It was non-stop running from here to there. And you know, India, unlike say England, has one advertising center, that's London. We have one in Bombay, we have one in Delhi, now we have one in Bangalore, we have it in Calcutta, we have it in every place. Yeah? So I was running. Now I just relax. I have a very special chair because I've got a bad back. That's the one thing I do have. And I sit on that chair and I use the phone, my cell phone, to contact the rest of the world. Cell phone is wonderful. I'm sure it's killed a lot of the travel business. You know, right. A lot of air tickets have been cancelled. What the hell? And if you're on Skype, then you can actually see the person. Right. Currently, Jesus Christ Superstar, the musical that I am directing now, my actors, singers, are being trained on Skype. You won't believe it. My voice expert, my voice coach, a brilliant woman, Deirdre Lobo, sits in San Francisco and we are in Bombay, and every night, because of the time difference, my people get to her on Skype and she directs them in vocal training on Skype. So you can have meetings on Skype. You really, I think Skype is a wonderful invention. Wonderful.
So, coming back to Lintas, you were with Lintas, you were CEO of Lintas for 14 years.
Yes.
Now, you have this great ability to combine creativity and a head for numbers.
Yeah.
Your business.
Yeah.
I remember somewhere.
That's because I am a Gujarati.
Yeah.
And all Gujaratis are very good at numbers. That's why they make such excellent businessmen. This is an old Jula. It's 100 years old.
Oh wow.
It belonged to my father, and when he passed away, he left it to me. So here it is in my house now, and the only exercise I get is this. My legs doing the Jula. I hate exercise. People say, but how can you keep healthy without exercise? though I have in my meeting room here, I have a treadmill, which I use about once a year, and I have a rowing machine which I've just bought. You know, I used to love rowing when I was young. When I was in England at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, I loved going on the Serpentine River in Hyde Park or the Thames and row. But I've got the rowing machine and it's still got its plastic cover on it.
Alyque, going back in time, I know you were doing theatre as a child, but what is it that made you take theatre professionally and then even study it abroad?
No, I never took it up professionally. Let me tell you that the theatre in India is all amateur, except for the Marathi theatre, a section of it, except for the Bengali theatre, which used to be professional, and in Chennai. The rest of all the theatre you see is amateur. Amateur means they're not paid. It doesn't mean that the standards are amateur. The standards are very professional. Certainly with my plays, I can tell you, you can come and see any play, and the lighting, the music, everything is, you know, up to standard. But I was very fond of theatre because my brother, my elder brother, Bobby Padmasee, was a theatre man, and the whole family suddenly got into theatre. Everyone, every single one of us.
I remember you used to say that your drawing room often used to turn into a place where you used to rehearse all your theatre work.
That's right, into a rehearsal hall. And if you look around this room, normally this room has a lot more furniture, which I've shoved into the other room, which is my meeting room. And because I wanted the space for rehearsal. Today we have a rehearsal. Some of my actors will be coming any moment now. And to me, theatre is life. Simply, theatre is life. Life is not life. And my life has been very theatrical. I decided to marry the girl I wanted to marry, so my parents said, if you want to do that, you can leave the house. I had no job. I phoned up a friend. He said advertising is a good place. I joined advertising. I didn't join it because I liked advertising. I joined it because I could earn money.
Yes.
Because Pearl, my wife, had 2 children. She was divorced. And I had to earn money to support her and the 2 children. And so I worked for 3 years, day and night, day and night, day and night. And finally I got enough money to rent a flat, and they moved in. That's why I'm in advertising. It's purely an act, it's necessity is the mother of all earning.
You also realized that one fed off the other in some way, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah. That's true, yes. There's no doubt about it that the reason a lot of theatre people in Bombay have joined advertising is because it's a way to earn a living which you can't do in theatre.
Yes.
And so you need to earn money as you go on in life. And it's a creative profession, particularly the creative side of advertising. Creating TV films, for instance, is very much like theatre, very much. And that's why my advertising work, a lot of people say it's very theatrical. It's true, it is theatrical. In the sense that Lalita ji, which I invented for surf, was based on my mother, the character, you know. When she says, surf ki kharidari mein samajhdari hai.
क्या सर्फ महंगा नहीं पड़ता?
बिल्कुल नहीं। ये देखिए, केवल आधा किलो सर्फ पूरे 1 किलो सस्ते पाउडर के बराबर होता है।
और धुलाई?
सबसे सफेद। इतने साल बाद भी इतनी सफेद।
लेकिन दाम?
भाई साहब, सस्ती चीज में और अच्छी चीज में फर्क होता है। सर्फ के फायदे भी तो देखिए, सबसे सफेद धुलाई और कपड़े सही सलामत। इसलिए सर्फ की खरीदारी में ही समझदारी है।
All the things I do, the little girl prancing about in the waterfall is really a fantasy I had. And
what was this fantasy you had?
The fantasy I had was, when I was a little boy, about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years old, my parents always loved to take us to the cinema. And every Saturday, the Padmasee family, remember, there were 8 of us, plus 2 parents, plus a number of friends. She'd book the whole front row of the Metro Cinema in Bombay. And I used to love to see Tarzan films, not because I like Tarzan, but because I loved Jane bathing in a waterfall. So that's where my inspiration came from.
Oh, I see.
A lot of inspiration in our lives comes from things we've seen, things we've noticed, and above all, things we've lived through.
I'm told by the time you turned 18, you decided you've become an agnostic.
Yeah, at the age of 18, I thought this business about religion is too confining. I'm not a person of ideas, wants to break through, want to break out of the box, as they say, think out of the box. And I want to live out of the box. So I said, what is all this religion business? You've got to say prayers. And if God is there, then I can speak to God every night. I don't need a priest. I don't need a pujari. I don't need a mullah. I don't need a priest. I don't need anyone. I'm one. I believe in God. I'm not an atheist. I'm an agnostic. I don't believe in organized religion. Right. I think we are all children of God, and therefore we have a connection. God is our mother.
So that's one consistency.
And all the men will go, oh, God is our mother. I thought God was our father. No, God is our mother. The earth is our mother.
I'm told you got the name God when you were shooting for a commercial and you had to wear a white suit and people started calling you God after that.
No, there are 100 stories about that. No, that came later. That is a parody on the fact that I am known as nicknamed God. It happened in the theatre, not in advertising.
Right.
I was directing a very difficult play, and it was at St. Xavier's College where I went to, and I asked the fathers whether I could do a play in their hall. And they have a lovely balcony all round the hall. So I was standing in the balcony directing the play, which took place down below, and I was shouting and screaming in my usual fashion. I'm a great shouter and screamer. And all my actors would say, oh God, I hope he doesn't scream again because he's got such a loud voice. And it was, one person said, oh, the voice of God, we better get into our places. So that sort of nickname came like that. It had nothing to do with advertising. But when I joined advertising, because I was a creative person, because I was also a financial person, because I could direct movies, advertising movies and all that, so people said, oh, he's like, he must be, no wonder he's called God, let's call him God. It was a nickname. It was just, I really am not a God, but I am a godfather. I'm a godfather to many, many people of talent.
Alyque, tell us a little bit about theatre and life around theatre.
Well, my God, my life around theatre, my life in theatre. I say theatre is life. There's so much in life that is theatrical. You're just driving along and you see a beggar woman and she comes up to the car window and is begging, and you wonder what kind of a life does she lead. And then you find out, and I did. I was a journalist, by the way, at one time. Yeah, I started in college. I started with the Free Press Bulletin, and I was assigned as a sports reporter. The only reason I took the job is that I love to see girls playing hockey in short skirts. It's true. I don't know why people are so shy about saying what it's true, what is true. I don't care whether you say, oh my God, what a dirty. No. It's not dirty. Nothing is dirty. Nothing that God has invented is dirty. So anyway, so I have always been interested in drama in everyday life.
I didn't say a word. Did I say a word?
Willie, you didn't say
All right, I'm going to bed. And you've got nothing to do in the morning. You can paint the ceiling I put up, yeah?
I'm leaving early tomorrow.
Yeah, he's going to see Bill Oliver, Pop.
Are you? For what?
He always said he'd stake me, and I'd like to get into business, so I figured I'd take him up on it.
Yeah. Well, there are 50 men in the city of New York who take you, huh? Sporting goods?
I guess so. I kind of know something.
He knows something about it. He knows sporting goods better than sporting, for God's sake. Everything is theatrical. Huh? If you see my landing, outside my house, the lobby, you might say, the lift landing. It's got big pictures, and you go down the stairs, it's got pictures. Life is full of fascinating pictures. And so everything in my life is theatre. I was born in the theatre. First time I went on stage, I was 7 years old. In a play done by my elder brother, Bobby. And because he was a great director, and he was 10 years older than me. So when I was 7, he was already 17 and directing plays. And it was such a thrill when I went on the stage. Everyone was looking at me. I thought they were looking at me. They were not looking at me at all. And they were looking at the main actors, But I got that feeling. It was very exciting. And when, they clapped,
You must
that I tell you gives you such an adrenaline rush. It's like Usain Bolt hitting the tape you know, and at 9.4 seconds for the 100 meters. It's that kind of adrenaline rush. So theatre is, and even rehearsals, and as you see, I said earlier, my house is theatre. And I was always like that. Even in my mother's house, where I grew up, my brother used to rehearse plays, mainly Shakespeare.
Now, coming to the fact that you managed to balance your life between advertising and theatre, life must have been a little unpredictable as in advertising in terms of the number of hours you would spend at work. So, how would you manage to squeeze time for theatre in the evenings?
I will say one thing, that a lot of people said, oh, I'm very good at theatre, very good at this, I'm very good at time planning. I can get out of a day more than most people can. First and foremost, I work a 16-hour day every day, even now at my age. And it's just a matter of planning it. I'm a great planner, you know, and I carry with me, which everyone laughs at, but then they ask me for it, I carry a little pocket pad. See? And in that pocket pad are all the things I've got to do this week, and all the time, and the back part is, which is color coded, the back part is yellow, which is for my ideas, and the front part is blue for what is urgent. It's blue, white, and the white is for all my job. So I'm constantly thinking of ideas about anything and everything. I have to, just to give you an idea here, that what am I thinking about today? Okay, I put down, are we all in heaven, and are we all dreaming our lives, and we die when we wake up? That's going to be in my new book. After a double life, I'm writing a book. So you might say I'm also an author of books. Yes, I am. I'm anything. I watch an ant crawling on the floor and I say, where is that ant going? And the ant meets another ant and they both exchange some information through their antennae. You know, they have that antennae.
Yes.
And that ant, every one of 100 ants that he meets in that line, they exchange that. I say, I wonder what they're talking about. So everything, you know, I love the question.
But
why?
what's special about you is that there are people who have so many ideas, but you are able to execute a lot of those ideas. So that is what goes behind that?
Well, number one, energy. I have enormous energy. I can never sit still. That's why I love this Jula, because I can always rock. You know? I never sit still. And that's the first thing you need. The second thing is you need an inquisitive mind. You know, curiosity killed the cat. No, curiosity created the genius. That's what curiosity. Ask questions about anything and everything. So the ideas come, I don't know where they come from really, and I don't want to even inquire, because once I know, then I'll start thinking in a, you know, in a linear line, and I like to be horizontal thinking, you know, lateral thinking, as Edward de Bono, who's one of my gurus, says. Edward de Bono says, invented lateral thinking. And it's not 1, 2, 3, 4, it's 1 apple, 2 heaven, 3, 4, 5, 6 death. Now what you say, it's nonsense. No, you're not talking nonsense. You're breaking out of the mold that you've been taught in school, at Indian schools and education, and I've got lots of ideas on changing education, is that you have to stop thinking in straight lines. The best, shall we say, the best invention is the straight line, and it is the straight line to boredom. The wiggly line is more interesting. Straight line is from A to B. But I don't want to go from A to B, it's too boring. I want to go to A to Australia. Huh? What does that mean? It's that kind of thinking where you jump all over the place. Then later on, now you said, how do I action it? I come from a Gujarati background. And Gujaratis are very good at codifying everything, putting them in an order. Hisab. Hisab kitab was my mother's favorite word. Beta, hisab kitab, do your accounts, do them properly, and always have a book. She had a notebook. So I got this from her. Always write down. She said, you can't trust your memory. And so always write down everything you think of and everything you want to do. And if you do that, you'll never be bored and you'll always be creative.
Alyque, tell us 5 things that are necessary to make a great ad.
A great ad. First essential thing is is this ad designed to sell the product, or is it designed to flatter the client vanity? A lot of ads are created to flatter the client's vanity, and I hate that kind of advertising. The first thing you need in a good ad is what is unique about my product that I can say. For that, I will need to talk to customers, and I'm a great believer in the FGD, focus group discussion. You get a number of people in a room and a good facilitator, and she or he will ask questions and they'll start talking about the product. I mean, take the fact that, how did I come across Fair and Handsome, which a lot of people have said, oh, look at him, he invented Fair and Handsome, he wants everyone to be fair. No, I don't. People want to be fair, I'm just saying, here's the product. If you don't want to be fair, please don't use it. Please don't use it. But how did I come across that? It was Fair and Lovely. Hindustan Lever launched Fair and Lovely in 1970. And in 2005, I thought of the idea of Fair and Handsome. Because I found out that in a group discussion, people were, I said, what do you think about fairness? And all of them, 100% said, yes, we want to be fair. Therefore, we use our wife or our girlfriend's or our mother's fairness cream, Fair and Lovely. I said, there's a whole market there. You can't beat Fair and Lovely. It's a God brand. Everyone, all women in India use it, even if they deny they're using it, they still use it. And so I said, okay, let me test it. So I put up a mirror in my client's office, and I got a young trainee to sit there quietly and note how many men passed that mirror and stopped and looked at themselves. And I found out that about 80% of the men stopped and looked at themselves. Now, that is not a question of being just as vain about our looks as women are. And from that I based Fair and Handsome, which in the first 18 months made 100 crores of rupees.
Wow.
कड़ी धूप और शेविंग मर्दों की त्वचा को बनाए सख्त और उस पर लड़कियों वाली फेयरनेस क्रीम बेअसर। पेश है इमामी फेयर एंड हैंडसम फेयरनेस क्रीम फॉर मेन, जिसका डबल स्ट्रेंथ पेप्टाइड और दुर्लभ जड़ी बूटियां मर्दों की टफ स्किन के अंदर तक जाए और बनाए फेयर एंड हैंडसम। इमामी फेयर एंड हैंडसम फेयरनेस क्रीम फॉर मेन।
Okay, second point about creating an ad.
Second point is, so you've got to know your customer. Then you say, what's unique about your product? Or you tell the client, can't you put something unique in it, Or maybe you're in the wrong tag. Complan. Complan is a very good example. Complan was for sick people. And when Lintas took over the account, we thought about it, and I said, is it good for children? And everyone said, Complan for children? Tastes like horrible. Nobody child will. I said, no, we can change the taste. But is it good? I went to a nutritionist. She said, it's excellent. It's called the 37 essential ingredients for the human diet. So I said, fine. Would it be good? She said, yes, definitely. And that's why you now have the Complan boy and the Complan girl. And it's become a huge brand, whereas before it was a tiny little brand. It's all about not thinking in straight lines. Zigzag.
Another 2 or 3 points that you have about this?
The other point is that when you get a great idea, take Lidl. I did research on Lidl. I said to the researchers, the only 10 minutes as far as I'm concerned that the Indian housewife has to herself is when she has a bath, because the rest of the time she's working for her husband, her children, she's shopping, she's cooking, she's everything, and the only 10 times she's alone is in her bath. What does she daydream about in her bath? And you'll be surprised to know, in 1975 when I did the research and we launched Lidl, the Indian housewife said she dreams of escape from all this kitpit and drudgery and Hamesha, they're all sitting on my head. Sir, but my mother used to say, Are sar par bethta hai, And so what does she do? She daydreams about Bollywood films, which is the escape route. And people say, why are Bollywood films so unrealistic? Because women particularly and men want to escape from the drudgery of life. So if you see Shah Rukh dancing around a tree, dancing around a girl, and you see Hrithik doing some stunts, it's not true. It's all make-believe. But then fairy tales are make-believe.
Right.
Huh? And when we're told stories about all sorts of, so I said, okay, fine, that sounds very good. So maybe she wants to escape. How can I give her an escape mechanism? Then the idea of the Tarzan's wife Jane bathing under a waterfall entered my head, and I said, what a wonderful escape. Bathing under a waterfall instead of a shower or even a bucket bath. Fantastic. And then the two came together, but the third point that I was saying is, how do you execute it? You get a great idea, but the execution is as important as the idea itself.
Right.
Huh? So you execute it the way we've done in the film, where the girl is jumping around in a waterfall. There's very little said about little, it's got good lather, no. It's got a beautiful perfume, no. None of those points. She's just enjoying herself and saying, and the commentator says, freshness, freshness, freshness. And that's what made it the #1 premium bath soap in the country.
The freshness soap to make a fresh new woman of you.
Steve Jobs said it is not only the idea but it's the execution. So when he invented the Macintosh, when he invented the iPhone and so on, it was all to do with an idea in his head. The phone can be the center of everything, a convergence.
Yeah.
But how to make it? That became the execution. And then he said, design it not only as a technical instrument, but design it as a user-friendly instrument.
Okay, fourth and fifth points.
Fourth and fifth point is, whenever you do anything, including advertising, please, after you've done it, before you release it to the public on the media, and television time is very expensive. You can spend nothing less than 10 crores on television to make a national brand. 10 crores a year, every year. So before you spend that money, you do a check. We do a lot of research, market research, and we do advertising research. We show it to a group of people who are in that target group, and if they say yeah, and then you ask them the question, but what did you get out of it? Would you be willing to buy? Intention to buy, it's called. And if 50% say yes, then we go ahead. But if another 70% say, I didn't understand it. What is the girl doing jumping about in the waterfall? What has that got to do with me? I don't have a waterfall in my bathroom. That's a literal way of looking at it. But people, it's called emotional logic. Does it have emotional logic?
Right.
Yeah? And that's a very important point that today a lot of advertisers are forgetting.
And the last point?
And the last point is, after you have released it to the public, what is the feedback? And the best feedback for advertising is, are the sales going up and up and up and up, or are they static, or are they going down, down, down? You know when the advertising is working.
So supposing it isn't working, then what will you do to
then
the
you
ad?
revise it, you pull it back, and you revise it, you go back to the drawing board, say we missed out, do research, why did we miss out? And then you reinvent it. Reinventing it is very important, extremely important, if you want to succeed. My definition, and a lot of journalists have asked me, what do you think is a great ad? I said, there's nothing to think about. A great ad is an ad that creates great sales.
Right.
I don't care if it doesn't win any awards. Many of my best ads have never won awards. Lalita ji never won an award, though it's remembered, and she hasn't been on the screen for 20 years. And yet people remember her. Memory is the only battleground of advertising. If they don't remember your brand, they can't buy it because they don't remember it.
What do you have to say about celebrity endorsement, Alec?
I really think that they've outlived their usefulness. The sell-by date, that you get on packages, or expiry date on medicines. I think the expiry date has come, and we should stop celebrity advertising.
Why do you say that?
Because celebrity advertising only gives you two things now. One is people like to see film stars, and two is it gives a little prestige to your brand, because the film stars, Amitabh Bachchan, they don't buy it for that reason. We've done research. Nobody buys it because a film star uses it or pretends that he uses it. And everybody knows that no film star, no film actress would ever use Lux toilet soap. Yet it's been selling for the last, I think, 100 years. But the point is that unless you say why my product is better than his product, what I call the switch factor. Can it switch? Can it make you switch from the brand you're using to this brand? Yes. Then it scores very high in my book.
But you feel that celebrities are not able to do that?
No, no. Celebrities are overused, I'm saying. How many brands does Amitabh advertise? How many brands does Shah Rukh advertise? You can't remember. If I asked anyone, and I've asked people, so what was the last ad you saw of Shah Rukh? Oh, I think it was, no, it wasn't that. And then they named some brand that he is not advertising. They have mixed up with Shah Rukh and Hrithik and Amitabh and so many others. They mix it all up. So it's not doing the job it was designed to do, which was a celebrity endorses a brand. It means that brand I should buy because I admire that celebrity.
Yes.
But celebrities endorse too many brands today, so they've killed their own selling power.
You started your career earning 300 rupees a month, and then gradually you rose to becoming the CEO of Lintas, and you remained the CEO for 14 years. Any memorable instances during your career there in advertising?
Well, basically, I started on 300 rupees because I joined HTA, which in those days was called JWT, and now it's gone back to JWT, as a trainee. And in those days, they paid you just 300 rupees a month as a trainee. But I worked very hard because I had a purpose of working hard. That was I wanted to get married. I wanted to get married to the girl I loved, Pearl. So I worked and for 3 years, and then finally I started earning a reasonable salary where I could afford to rent a flat. And then when I became CEO, I hated the word CEO because it says Chief Executive Officer. When I said I'm a creative man, why would I want to be an executive? I hate being an executive. So I decided to call myself CSO, Chief Stimulation Officer. My job was to stimulate everybody to thinking creatively. You know? The first thing I did when I joined Lintas was I said, why do we have this Monday morning blues? Everyone says, oh God, not Monday morning again. Oh. I said, why can't we make it red carpet Monday mornings?
That's a great
one. So I decided that the first half an hour, the office began at 9:30. So once a month, at 9:30 we would have what was known as a prayer meeting, which was people assembled together, and it was a red carpet meeting, and they had coffee and they talked about their hobbies and they talked about anything they liked. And we all chattered and chittered, and at 10 o'clock sharp, we went to our desk. Now we were stimulated. Now it is no longer, oh God, it was wow. That wow factor in life is extremely important, extremely important. I'm attracted to people, and I am, particularly people of the opposite sex, if they have high energy. If they're smiling and they're doing things, that's what attracts me.
Natasha D'Souza has just walked into Alec's house for rehearsals. Natasha, what has been your experience of working with Alec?
I've been an ardent fan of Mr. Padmasee ever since I've been a little girl, and to be selected in one of his plays and working with him is like a dream come true. It's something that I never ever imagined myself doing. And I was...
what is this play that you're working on?
The play we're working on is called Jesus Christ Superstar, and working with Sir is so much of fun. He is so young at heart. He is so contemporary with the times. Sometimes I feel much older when I hear his thoughts and his views on things. I realize that he is so up to date, and his ideas are phenomenal. His creativity is beyond what one could imagine.
What's a rehearsal session like?
A rehearsal session is a mix of a lot of encouragement, enthusiasm. He focuses on making us realize the importance of feeling the role and feeling the character, so that you do not have to act, but it just comes in naturally. So if you begin to feel like he says, you do not need to know your lines by heart and worry about things like that, because your heart just translates into your body and your expression, and what you see is you know, manifestation of all of that. And that is so true. So we keep that in mind always before we start. And the first few sessions, you know, when you're rehearsing, it takes a little time. You build up, and by the time you're doing it the third or fourth time, you really get into it. And he's so appreciative. He'll always, you know, applaud you at the end of your performance, which is very encouraging. He also has a side which, you know, pushes you to bring the best out of yourself. But it's amazing how he transitions back into his normal, regular, fun self after it's over. So, you know, it frightens you for a moment because you're worried he's angry. But in a second, he's just back to normal. So, you know, it's just for a particular reason. So it's amazing working with him. And I'm really looking forward to our production.
We're now on the road where Alyque often takes a walk. And we thought we'd walk along with him on this road and talk to him about his life and about the fact that he says he's been a great godfather but not such a great father. What do you have to say about that, Alyque?
Well, the first thing I have to say is that I very rarely take a walk. This is one of the few occasions because I'm such a lazy person when it comes to doing, you know, exercise that the doctor tells you to do. I don't mind working 18 hours a day, moving here, doing everything. As soon as I says exercise, I become I lose all my energy. Yeah. Well, basically, you know, because I've been married 3 times and I've had a child by each of my wives, Pearl, who is still very dear in my heart, Dolly, who is a good friend now, and Sharon, who's always been a very good friend, always. And I have 3 children. And because I left home when they were children, it was kind of like, I felt guilty. I wanted to get away, but you know, my elder sister, Roshan, she said, Alyque, you can divorce your wife, but you can never divorce your children. And that stuck in my head. And I always thought that I must spend time, but the time, because I'm so busy with theatre plus advertising plus my public service work, which I do a lot of, I really haven't had enough time. But then I asked many fathers and they said, what rubbish, we don't spend any time with our children, the mothers do, but we're always busy, even though we live in the house. So they see us, but we don't spend time with them. So I made up my mind to spend time at least once a week or more, and when they were younger, every day, to visit them and talk to them, guide them and so on and so forth. But I will say I've been an absentee father. That's true, that's true. But now, my children, I must say, it's amazing for an absentee father to get so much love. And particularly my youngest, Shahzan. She, every day she phones me, once, twice a day. She comes and stays with me at my house here Christmas Eve. Otherwise she stays with her mother in Bandra. And she is very, very concerned about my health, about everything. And we have great chats. And I said to my elder daughter once, I remember, I said, darling, I'm not a good father, but I can be a very good friend to you.
And this is something that your son has also said in your write-up,
yes. But she said, she's 12 years old. So she thought about it, she said, Dad, but I don't want a friend, I've got friends, I want you to be my father. When she was 18 or no more, when she was 20, 21, 22, she found that all her friends were saying it's horrible to have a father in the house because he's always saying, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't pick up that, do this, do this. So I said, yes, darling, now you realize it's better to have your friend than your father sitting on your head. So I've been a godfather to many people in the sense that I've given them a kickstart in life. Kabir Bedi, Shamak Dawar, Sharon Prabhakar, and the list is
I think
pretty long.
Evita is a place where a lot of these people became stars. Huh?
Yeah. Well, before that, when I did Jesus Christ Superstar, Nandu Bhende was a singer, but he wasn't that well known. But once he did Superstar, he became the rock star of Bombay and of India. Unfortunately, he passed away just recently and I'm very sad for that. But many people have got their your kickstart in life through, well, I see talent.
Right.
It's not that I made them, no. But in the early years when they're unsure, it's nice to have a godfather. It's nice to have
Right.
a mentor.
I wanted to interrupt you here and ask you about the fact that you said you know how to spot talent when it comes to advertising.
Yes.
When it comes to the performing arts or anything to do with the arts, you wouldn't be asking those 3 questions which you did to those people that sought interviews.
Correct. I would ask them a simple question: do you want to be someone else?
Okay.
And that is what an actor wants to do. He wants to be someone else. Right. And first he's surprised. I don't want to be. Then he thinks about it. He says, yes, I do. I do. Not everyone. But those who don't, I say what I mean is your life just now complete? Are you absolutely happy, absolutely content? And then they say, yes, I would like to be someone else. And then we talk about who the someone else should be. And then by feeling, through experience, they say gut feel. What is gut feel? Gut feel is based on experience. And I'm now on my 72nd play. So lots and lots and lots of actors have passed through my hands. And I have an instinctive gut feel about this guy will be damn good. And that's how I cast. That's how I cast my plays. And it's something that I think every person who's been in his craft long enough has an instinctive feel, but it's not instinctive, it's based on experience. That's what it's based on. So it's wonderful because these are all my, in a sense, how shall I put it, I've got 3 children and these are all my godchildren.
Yeah. And when we talk about instinct or spotting talent, this is what you feed, but what about nurturing that talent?
Nurturing is a more difficult thing. Women naturally are born with their genes for nurturing because they have to feed, they first have got to carry the child for 9 months. Then they've got to feed the child, breastfeed the child, and gradually the child, nurturing is a very natural thing for women. For men it's more difficult, and unless you have that nurturing instinct, which means your genes in a man is, as you know, X and Y, but if you don't have enough of the opposite genes, and all men have both the genes, but usually I think it's the Y gene, if I'm not mistaken, is the male gene, and if it's so strong, then they're macho, walk around like that. They all want to be Steven Seagal, or one of these characters, or Arnold Schwarzenegger, Rambo, Arnold Schwarzenegger, hasta la vista, baby. But I think I've got a mixture of these genes, and the feminine side of my life, that's what makes, by the way, for artists, is the creative side is more feminine than I think than masculine, frankly. And I think you'll find that all people whom we consider geniuses and so on had a high quotient of that, and that's why also they needed a female muse always to bring out that in them, whether it was Picasso or Bertrand Russell or Leonardo da Vinci or whatever. And that is something which lately I've been giving a lot of time and thought to. What is it that makes me keep on falling in love? And I do. I'm quite frank and I admit it. I fall in love. It's a sort of a need. It's not just something I desire, it's a need. And I then realize that I fall in love with everything. I'm falling in love now with the camera and you and the whole ambience over here. That means you can fall in love with life. So now on my book, whenever I give it to anyone, I'll say to whatever the name is, and I say, fall in love with life and you'll never be bored. You'll always have something in your life.
But then what do you do when you fall out of love?
When you fall out of love, well, for a time you're very, shall we say, I wouldn't say you shouldn't be despairing. You can be disappointed and you can be a little sad. But then if you're that kind of person who wants to fall in love, funnily enough, it comes down the road and you never know when.
So love does have a shelf life, huh?
No, I mean, some people I know, marriage has a shelf life. I don't think love has a shelf life. In my new book, I'm talking about marriage because I'm now pretty experienced, you will admit. Yes. And I'm talking about the marriage license. That means why should marriage be till death do us part? Why can't marriage be like a driving license for 5 years?
And then you renew it.
And then you renew it if both parties want to do it. But if one party doesn't want to do it, that means in the 4th year of your marriage, you begin to think, no, I really love my wife. Of course, I criticize her a lot and I'm always nagging her and saying, you don't do this, you don't do that, you don't do that. But really, I don't want to be separated. The wife may be thinking, I want to leave this man. He's a horrible chap. Then the husband starts becoming the boyfriend all over again. The boyfriend-girlfriend relationship is not being explored enough. It is the finest relationship, I believe, where two human beings have. Both human beings put themselves out for the other person. Once they're married,
they take each other for granted.
Chalo, ho gaya, mera kaam ho gaya, main abhi so jaunga, and they go to sleep on their marriage. Whereas marriage is something like everything else, it grows, and if it doesn't grow, then it's dead.
After a nice leisurely long walk with alyque Padmasee, we are back to where he lives, and this is in the building which is charmingly called Christmas Eve. Thanks very much for those nice, insightful statements, and we hope you have a lot many more ideas in your...
I always say, Priya, that the only status quo is death. When you're dead, it's over. But until you're living, even if you're in a hospital bed, you should be thinking, unless your brain is gone, then that's different. Then your brain dead, you're dead anyway. So as long as you can think, the world is full of fascinating things.
Right. Thanks very much, Alyque, and it was a great meeting.
Yes, I'm glad you got a nice mild handshake, because most people grab my hand. I broke my hand many years ago, so I find it difficult to shake hands. I mean, like
I
firm
think people
glass.
are overawed by your presence, and they
then
don't
why
know how
are you squeezing my hand so hard? It pains for 2 weeks.
Several brands, 71 theatre productions. Alyque Padmasee continues to be the live wire that he is, working non-stop. Most of the time he works from his home, which we visited yesterday. We thought we'd meet him at his office today, which also happens to be his mother's home, where he grew up doing theatre. We caught him in the midst of a professional meeting with somebody very personal, his daughter Rael Padmasee. Rael is producing Alyque's latest Jesus Christ Superstar. So Rael, tell us 2 things that you think are the most striking about your father, and 2 things about Alyque as a professional.
Okay, so I have to tell you personally, you know, and I think this really affected me a lot when I was growing up, and it's kind of shaped the person I am. And what he was very clear about was that you have to, no matter what you do, give back to society. And that's the way that we formed our foundation, and we, you know, do a lot of work with NGOs and charities and things like that. And he really made us aware as children that you you can't only take, you have to give back. So that was one for sure. And the other one, which was very radical when I was young, you know, when everybody around me, all my friends were getting married at 18, and he said, darling, you have to understand, okay, you cannot get married till you're 30. So I said, oh, are you serious? Because everybody's getting married at 18, you know, and 20 and things like that. And he said, no, till you're financially independent and you can stand on your own 2 feet.
But didn't you ask him why 30, the number 30?
Because he felt by 30 you would have reached that point where, of course, he insisted that I go out to work at 16. I mean, just, you know, to be able to not go out to work per se, but just to get that experience and, you know, not to while away my time. So he was very, very keen on everybody, you know, getting their act together, so to speak, in more ways than one, and getting things off the ground and, you know, just making yourself, I mean, he was an extremely, what can I say, progressive and liberal thinking father, you know. I mean, I think very few at that time actually thought in that regard.
So how much of what his advice has been executed by you?
Oh, all of it. All of it, all of it. Even the fact that, you know, one was a very pampered and spoiled child, but one still had to listen to one's parents. So it was.
Okay, so Ryle, now tell me about him as a professional. What have you seen of him as a professional?
Right.
Because you have been a producer yourself, you've been in theatre.
Absolutely.
So what do you have to say about him? Alyque Padmasee, the theatre director, Alyque Padmasee, the ad man.
Right. So I think really the theatre director, you know, par excellence in terms of technicalities. I mean, everything that I've learned today to do with the technical aspect of theatre has been through him, and he is a perfectionist. There is no way that we can do anything that is, you know, even 2% this way or that way. It has to be 100% or not at all. I'll just give you a small example. We did this show with Shabana Azmi, Broken Images, and every day we would rehearse from beginning to end, and there was only one person in the play. So she would start from point 1 to point 100 every single day, 6 times in the day. So it was till she got it right. So normally, you know, when you miss a line, you go back to the line before and you do it. No, but both of them were so particular, they'd go back to the beginning and start all over again. Okay. So I'm just saying, so there were a lot of things that, you know, in that respect that, you know, it has to be done. And the second thing I think, which applies to all areas of life, not only theatre, to the advertising world, to life per se, which is, you know, that you have to do your homework. Right. You have to prepare and come prepared to whatever you're doing, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a show, whether it's a rehearsal, whether it's you know, a technical discussion, whatever it is. Do your homework and come in, because that way you also feel very confident about what you're saying, and also you give the other person the respect that you have actually spent that much time and worked on what you're, you know, planning to do. So, you know, those are lessons that one has learnt and one has implemented, and I feel really happy and proud to have him as a father.
Not the slightest thing.
We have no king but Caesar, crucify him.
Bruce!
We need him, crucify. It's all you have to do. We need him, crucify. It's all you have to do.
What I think of him as a director is he's the #1 that India has got, numero uno. And he really knows what he wants, which some people might, because of which some people might think he's difficult. But since he knows, since he's a perfectionist, you know, when you're working with him, you really have to meet his expectations. And in order to do that, you really elevate yourself to a whole new level. It's like the saying that the toughest steel always gets sent through the hottest furnace. So for us, that's the furnace, and we worship that furnace.
Well, I auditioned 3 times. So by the 3rd time I got exhausted. I was pretty much exhausted. The first 2 times I auditioned for a song. It's the role of Mary Magdalene, the woman who is, you know, she's infatuated with Jesus. She loves Jesus so much. I went in, I was obviously starstruck because it's got Alyque Padmasee. So I was immediately nervous. I was so scared because I forgot my lines immediately. Luckily, they saw a spark in me which said like, hey, come back and do your second audition. Did the second audition, was not so good, okay. Then I came back for the 3rd, which was powerful, learned all my lines by heart, bang. And now I'm part of the cast for Jesus Christ Superstar. Every alternate day we spend 3 hours, and it's a good chance to bond with the characters, because this is, it's a spiritual experience. It's not just a musical, it's not just a play, it's an experience. So, and this is what we want to do when it comes to, you know, performing it.
For the price is down, come on in for the best in town. Take your pick of the finest one, lay your bets on the bird of mine. Roll on up for the price is down, come on in for the best in town. Take your pick of the finest one, lay your bets on the bird of mine. Take your price and everything, come on, buy it. Going fast, borrow cash on the finest stuff. Hurry out where the stops and lots. Roll on up for the price is down, come on in for the best in town. Take your pick of the finest one, lay your bets on the bird of mine. Roll on up for the price is down, come on in for the best in town. Take your pick of the finest one, lay your bets on the bird of mine. Bring your price and everything, come on buy it. Going fast, borrow cash on the finest stuff. Hurry now, one stock still lasts.
He loves the drama, he loves the applause, he hates the status quo, and he always has an idea. Alyque Padmasee, may the show always go on. Thank you, it was a pleasure.
When I have your life in my hand,